I noticed the audio is a little soft here. So, all right. I guess the thing I'm noticing with Biden is he never really completes a thought or a sentence. He just mumbles a bunch of shit together. But this one I had on hold. I'm recording this and then I'm playing it on the. There's an option on my DVR where I can pause it for as long as I like and it'll still record it and it's not going to catch up with the live. I heard him start saying some weird shit. Now they're speaking about veterans. Let's go. Okay, well, all of this shit he's saying isn't making sense.
In our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he.
That's true. That's true. Hang on a minute. I'm trying to get comfy. All right.
Doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse.
Yeah.
I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst.
Another thing that Trump should have mentioned if he's. I'm sorry, I've got to move. Mentioning veterans is, I mean, enlistment is very low right now. Boy, Jill is gonna keep the depends on him and not change them before bed for this one. Yeah, he prepared. I reiterate, 7 days at Camp David. All right, and you can go to my Craze channel for other reviews on this shit. I was caught in the middle. I didn't know what it was of a shooting the other day on the expressway. I have that posted. All right, let's go.
Gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned.
Yeah.
We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half.
And by the way, veterans benefits and insurance and stuff has been, I know a lot of people that benefit from it. I mean, people even younger than me, their kids, they have scholarships, or they don't have scholarships. They have their full tuition paid at colleges, etc. I know my dad was rejoicing over a lot of things that that Trump did before he died, and then like my mom still has veterans benefits, even though spousal benefits, like where they pay for all of her cancer treatment. It's called catastrophic care. And, cancer is considered catastrophic. So, I mean, she's getting all kinds of benefits from the VA. Now I'm assuming, I haven't asked her, I'm assuming it hasn't really changed since Brandon became president, but my dad says you have no idea how much he's done for veterans. So, and I don't believe it was a partisan comment. He would have said something, believe me. My dad used to be a Dem. All right, let's continue on. Let's listen to what this asshole has to say.
Because he's done all these great things that we did, and I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic. Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since they passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all...
Agent Orange and burn pits.
Covered now.
They're all covered now from Agent Orange and burn pits. I'm sure that if that was an issue, it would have been addressed a long time ago.
And his group opposed that. Well,
his group opposed that.
It's in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq.
Well, your other son also was put in a Navy office too and made a lieutenant or something for a while until he got kicked out because of cocaine abuse. Why don't you mention that, Brandon? God, do they think we're stupid and that we don't have memories?
They went next to one of those burn pits, came back with
Burn pits?
stage 4 glioblastoma.
What is he talking about?
I was recently in
Yeah, he can't remember shit.
Iraq. They went next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma.
Huh? Stage 4 blastoma from a burn pit in Iraq? Is that what he said?
I was recently in France for a deep.
Yeah, you were in France taking a dump in your pants.
And I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing
Huh?
his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers.
What the fuck is he talking about? He is a horrible individual. I mean, boy, God, you listen to this and see this guy and watch his family, and you know that Satan is alive and well right now, I tell you.
Son was not a loser, he's not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Wow, what an a-hole.
President Trump?
Can you imagine? He's name called. All right, so this guy is at a presidential debate and pulls this kind of like, it's almost like agitation in Alzheimer's, where he starts like flipping out and doing personal attacks on Trump. I mean, that is like, that should like disqualify him right away. You don't talk to another person like that on a debate stage. And he knows that that's a bunch of bullshit too. That was taken out of context. Okay.
Cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general and
honestly, can you guys even understand what this dude is saying?
told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser. He's not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Wow. I really do hate this guy. I'm sorry. I don't really ever say I really hate someone. I would say I dislike them very much. I despise them. But I would have to say I do have a hatred for this guy. You know, I've been very emotional lately. I do have a hatred for this guy. Who the fuck does he think he is? Go.
President Trump? Losers and suckers.
He stands on a stage in front of the world and says, you're the loser and you're the sucker. He's going straight to hell when he dies. He's going to that large Depends wasteland in the sky. In the burn pit with neoblastoma or whatever he said.
My son was not a loser. He's not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Both of your sons.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taking better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers.
You know, one of the first things that you should also say, Trump, is that no one's joining the military right now because they don't want to die for this person. They don't want to die for any of this stuff right now. But let's continue.
19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 50
don't go in that direction.
intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it. Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy.
You know what? I think that they have a 5-second delay, and they also have the ability to cut off Trump's mic. And I think he tried to respond there, but whatever. Let's do one more until this runs out.
I want to begin with Russia's.
I have extremely low memory. I'm buying like nothing because I don't go out and jog and listen to anything, so I don't really need any memory. So let's go.
War against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms?
Well, I mean, that's already been in the Minsk Accord. Oh, wow. Let's see what he says.
Acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that...
You know...
that was respected.
I just want the devil out of my government. That's all I want, and that's him. All right.
Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No.
He's trying to speak over a muted mic. Wait a minute. Wait. Here.
General got
Okay.
numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan.
Okay, so they provoked Russia. Okay? And they're trying to do more because they just bombed. I can't remember where they bombed over there. I apologize, but because I'm trying, I just don't want to get into too much of my chatter, but they are pushing Putin to the edge. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to invade Europe. This is something that really I don't want to include on this video, so let's keep going. But I mean, they did provoke him. They did a coup. The Obama admin did a coup, and well, they did one in 2008 and 2009, and well, there was something. The big one was in 2014, where they just began. Let's go.
It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded.
Don't say shit like that, though, Trump.
Ukraine, never.
Don't say shit like that.
Israel would have never been invaded.
No.
In a million years by Hamas. You know why? because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
Excuse me. Oh, that is true.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it recently.
Did I miss something?
When he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. But he didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number
What?
two, we got over
What am I-
100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three,
Actually, my dad compared that to Vietnam. I think there was a lot of, never mind with that.
ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want.
What?
And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. Listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he...
You know, but it's still called Russian, it's still called Chicken Kiev, though. Ugh, I can't stand this guy.
in fact, didn't...
Let's talk about your son's business dealings in Ukraine. Trump?
At all. Wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never
come back
said
to you
that.
For 1 minute. I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
of Ukraine?
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have.
I disagree with Trump, so let's just say I disagree, and we can explore that another time. I mean, it's mainly because of the Minsk Accord. Let's go.
If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything.
Well, see, now Trump's been told to take certain positions, so we can explore that at another time.
I'm only saying the money that we're spending on
It's bullshit.
this war, and we shouldn't be spending. It should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly. And
That's
I will
true.
get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll...
Well, actually, the Donbass region, Lugansk and Donetsk, I guess, had a referendum that they wanted to be associated with Russia or be a part of Russia versus a part of Ukraine, because Ukraine is going in a direction where once they are part of NATO or part of the leaders that are in there right now want a much more liberal society. Zelensky has destroyed churches. I mean, I was on Twitter and I saw tanks rolling in where they're just bulldozing churches. Also, they will arrest you if they hear that you speak Russian. You're only allowed to speak Ukrainian. That would be like arresting a Hispanic family for speaking Spanish in a store. They won't. It's just that if you go to southfront.org and look at some of those videos, that place has just been ripped apart. because the West has a lot of interests in taking Ukraine from the people there and letting them make the decision. And all you need to do is know that Joe Biden's son has millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of business dealings there. Joe got one of their public officials fired, if you remember that, the quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. He said, I said, if you don't do this, I'm going to fire your ass. And I got the money. I mean, he's just a slime ball. So he's got some skin in the game here.
There, do you think he'll stop when he if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want,
he's not going to do anything to Poland.
Or you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine and from weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have.
No, that's not true.
That's why we're strong.
No way.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel.
Okay, so we're going to just close it out because this was kind of a bore. But he's just not making a lot of sense. But boy, his money interests are in Ukraine, so he knows a lot about that, doesn't he? All right.